And you know the GOATs, the people that brought you Jujutsu Kaisen.
Oh, what the fuck?
The people that brought you the season 4 of Attack on Titan.
Yo, I need a release date right now.
The people that brought you God of High School.
This anime team is like the fucking dream team, bro.
It's already better than Full Metal Alchemist.
The way people talk about this show, it's like the best shit ever. Like,
It's really a man with a chainsaw.
There it is.
wow, that's a lot of chainsaw.
Studio Mappa.
Hey, strikes again! Back at it again with another anime.
Anywhere you look, Chainsaw Man appears. Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, you name a social media platform and Chainsaw Man is probably being discussed on it. There is no doubting the popularity of this manga, even before its anime has been released. Right now the manga has just returned for part 2, and while all of that is cool, for me it means absolutely nothing because I will definitely not be reading it for at least the next few months. But why? This type of manga seems like the exact type of thing that I would enjoy from everything I hear, and honestly, I was very excited to start it at one point. So what changed? Why am I so reluctant to read something that I would probably enjoy? To understand that, we need to go back. Back in the day, a young Kenshin was just getting into anime. I had watched a few of them over my childhood, but I, just like everyone else, barely considered them anime at the time. You know, the usual Dragon Ball, Detective Conan and Pokemons. Things that people who consider themselves non-anime watchers have probably watched. But this was the point that I decided that I was going to start watching anime for real. Even though the other people who watched anime seemed kinda weird, I decided to at least give it a try. And I turned on the first anime that I could think of, Naruto, and I loved it. From the moment I started watching it, I was hooked, and my love for anime just continued to grow. One anime became 2, and 2 became 4, and I quickly got to the point where I lost count of the amount of anime I was watching. A few months after I first watched anime, I went into my school library to return a book, where I noticed a manga for Naruto, one for the first chapters. At this point, all I knew about manga was that anime came from it, so I picked it up and went home to give it a read. And even though I enjoyed it, I just couldn't understand why someone would want to read Naruto instead of just watch it. There's no animation or OSTs or cool voice acting. It just didn't make any sense to me. And to be honest, until recently I still didn't understand. I understood that there could be bad adaptations, but if an adaptation is good, then why would you read it instead of watch it? It felt like you were just ruining the show for yourself, almost as if you were reading spoilers. Then a few years ago, something changed. My friend who also watched anime told me about a manga that he had been reading, one without an anime, called The Promised Neverland. I checked online to see if there were any announcements for an anime adaptation, and at the time there were none, so I began reading. This was my first manga and I genuinely loved every single second of it. The excitement that I had to read every chapter was unparalleled. I was reading a ridiculous number of chapters every day until I caught up. and then one day the same friend messages me that the Promised Neverland would be receiving an anime, and almost immediately I made a decision. I was no longer going to continue reading the manga. I was instead going to finish the story in anime form once it came out. Now imagine my disappointment when years later we finally started to approach the ending in the anime and they cut out the best arc entirely and completely mess up the ending. It's safe to say I made the wrong choice and reading would have been a much more enjoyable experience. It was at this point that I started to understand manga readers, but all this made me feel was that the manga is better than the anime only when the anime fails massively. My mindset was changing, but ever so slightly. Then recently I watched an anime called Tokyo Revengers, and after a few episodes I couldn't bear to wait weekly for new content and I started reading the manga. Safe to say from the video that I made that I was addicted to it, even more so than the anime. Now I was really confused. Why was the manga so much more addicting than the anime, even when the anime was adapted well? But after the turn Tokyo Revengers took into becoming a manga I no longer enjoy, that alone was no longer enough to convince me that manga was truly worth reading over anime. A few months ago there was a point where I was watching nothing at all in terms of anime and I wanted something to binge when another friend recommended Tomodachi Game, an anime that had just came out. I watched the first few episodes that were out and immediately switched to the manga. This time it didn't take any deliberating, I just knew it was the right thing to do. The main reason for this was the way the show was set up. It's not an action show. The main attraction is the main character and how intelligently he navigates situations, or in other words, I didn't care about the fighting or animation, so there was no reason for me to care about the anime. I didn't realize at the time, but my idea of manga had changed completely. At this point, I fully believed that manga can be better than anime unless the action aspect of it is important. I don't really care if I read a psychological type of manga or watch its anime, and even if this sounds obvious to some of you guys, this was surprising to me. I was finally starting to understand why people liked manga so much, and that's kind of the point that I'm at right now, and it's also the reason why I'm not 100% ready to read Chainsaw Man yet. I was planning on doing it before the anime announcement, but when I heard Studio Mappa, out of all people, were animating the show, I decided to wait. I know that the action is a big part of the show and I want to experience that with beautiful Mappa animation, much like I did with Jujutsu Kaisen, but waiting a year for each season is starting to get tiring. So I'll make you guys a deal. If I enjoy the first season of Chainsaw Man enough, I will 100% read the manga after the season ends, and if not, I simply won't. You can join me on this Chainsaw Man journey when the anime starts by pressing that subscribe button, as I will be giving my thoughts on the series throughout the first season, and if I enjoy it enough, you'll definitely be seeing more Chainsaw Man content even after the season ends in manga form. Thanks for watching. For now, this channel will probably be focusing on a mixture of anime, and the next video I release will most likely be a blind rating of all of the arcs in One Piece from 1 to 10, as I am a first time watcher. Hope you guys enjoyed the video and I'll see you on the next one.